Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of MTG Arena. Today is Monday, November 4th. We did the ranked draft, which gave me cards, but I didn't get any victories, and now we're doing the Festival Standard Artisan. Now, what occurs to me here, in particular, is we're getting these card cosmetics, and I'm hoping they're also giving me at least one copy of these cards. But then it also occurred to me that at some point, perhaps even now, I might have already had some of these card-S artisan things, like these cosmetics. There's no guarantee that what you're getting here is the only time these animations have been available, so you might just be doubling up on things and wasting your gold or your gems if you're actually paying gems. But I don't even know how I would work around that. Like, what you would hope is that they've scheduled and planned everything out so well that that for the launch of Throne of Eldraine all the way to the point where Throne of Eldraine stops being the new hotness of Magic the Gathering and the next expansion comes out, that they've got a festival planned and a collection of skins that they're giving out around that, and it never overlaps. So you have to play every festival if you wanted all the skins, if you wanted a complete collection, which it would not be something that would be financially feasible for people in the real world playing paper Magic at all. So yeah, that would be the hope. On the other hand, I don't know if I really trust Wizards of the Coast to play that way, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are really just giving a random selection of cosmetics. Or maybe it's more customized and they're giving a selection of cosmetics based on what I'm specifically using or going for. I need to get rid of this card in my deck. It's useless. It's always in the way. So again, ideally we want to have 3 swamps on the field before we play these 2 lands. Is that realistically going to happen? No. Almost certainly not. We've got a lot of games and some amount of news to cover, so this is the 3rd recording for today's stream, so I'm gonna just try and rush through everything, and after this we'll just be playing ranked, still trying to get up on ranked, I suppose. Although, frankly, I shouldn't play ranked today. I should play just standard play. That way I can get more victories. It's going to be a delicate balancing act of figuring out when is a good time to play ranked and when is it not. And yeah. Frankly, I just need to honestly share this account with somebody else that really loves to play Magic so that they just play non-stop on my decks, and if they made like suggestions on how to improve my decks, that would be great too. But the daily quests are ridiculous. 15 victories every single day. So, alright, first game we have to show off here is called Uterin Supremacy, which is a game where you play as a sperm trying to infiltrate an egg and create a zygote. There was something, it kind of looks like a half player versus player Flappy Bird game at the beginning here, and then it turns into more of a top-down twin-stick bullet hell shooter at the end here, which is not a realistic depiction of of how that works. What was also interesting is in the Flappy Bird part, as I was looking at the video, one of these videos, where is it? You see this here, which my understanding of the reproductive system of a female is, yes, there's a point where in the uterus where the two ovaries connect, but beyond that, in the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, there is no other connections or holes. It's a pretty solid straight tube there, so I don't know what that specific hole in the background was depicting. And yeah, so like this would be an ovary tube, and that would be an ovary tube, and let's see if we can show that this would be like the opening of the uterus. That this almost feels like this could be an educational game, but at $2.99 in English only, and being multiplayer focused, it feels more like it's a troll game than anything else. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was a kind of thing that might get you in trouble with YouTube, and then I would be very surprised that if I did get in trouble with YouTube because of that. You probably should also, if you were going to make a game like this, go the full length of gestation there, and not just go from insemination and jump to a end screen that says you created a baby. Go the full 9 months. I'm not ready for that, but I guess I can attack with this one. What does this card do? Interesting. So I'll have to be careful there. Yeah, this feels just too much like a joke game and not really enough of a gameplay concept alone to justify playing it. Moving on to the next story, Gamasutra has a report. There's a report that the embattled real estate startup WeWork is mulling esports investments. WeWork, embattled, I guess, is the right term to describe it, as they were supposed to do an initial public offering, and they got into some kind of controversy that I frankly don't even remember. And in that initial controversy, they ended up canceling their initial public offering. They're a startup to run shared areas of work where somebody needs an office, but they don't want a permanent office, so they just need a temporary place to have a meeting. This is, in my opinion, a need that is already being very much fulfilled, because hotels have often had convention room and other ways that. So that's 2 9/9s now. I've got victory, unless he can kill one of my guys. Yeah, I think part of the main problem with WeWork is just the guy in charge of it. Speaking of guys in charge of things, this isn't video game news, but apparently the guy in charge of McDonald's had a romantic relationship with somebody and is stepping down because of that. And I don't think it was like he did anything particularly too improper, other than the fact that he was dating somebody who would have had to have been under him on the power level of employees because he was the CEO, the main person in charge. Of course, it's like Bill Gates dated and then eventually married a employee at Microsoft, and it used to happen all the time. I guess it's just now in the Time's Up movement and the Me Too movement, it's no longer considered even excusable, whereas it was often considered excusable in the past. It was never considered acceptable, at least not in the past 4 decades or so. But yeah, McDonald's also is bringing back a like celebratory release of some of their older their old toys that they released over the past few decades in Happy Meals, which means that they're bringing back toys to Happy Meals, because last I had heard they weren't doing it, and apparently that they changed their mind on that and they're bringing back toys. But they're not bringing back any of the Nintendo toys. They are bringing back the Transformer toys and some other things that I recognize. But yeah, it doesn't seem like Nintendo's involved, so no video games involved. I don't think. Maybe there was a Sonic toy at some point, but I don't think so. If WeWork did get into esports, they probably would fail miserably. And frankly, that is true for almost anybody that gets into esports, is that you have a high risk of failure there. Gamer Sutra has an article here. 20 years later, David Brevik shares the story of making Diablo. If you're interested in that, I guess. Although this would really be a programming type GDC presentation, and not something that really means anything for let's just do no blocks. I could have blocked that one, I suppose. Yep. So I would be more interested in reading an article about the development of Diablo 1, which did bring together, I think, a lot of concepts that were in previous games before, and create a new style of game. That I would be interested in, say, the development of Diablo 3, or getting teasers or hints at Diablo 4. Gamatsu has an article here. Overwatch 2 announced for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Again, I said earlier, I don't see a reason why it needs to be a 2. Like, there really makes no sense that you need to put a 2 after Overwatch instead of just calling it version 2.0. I guess maybe the idea was that they had already tried calling it version 2.0 and it didn't get the reception that they were hoping for. And Blizzard definitely needed to get people's attention at BlizzCon this year to try, and they did try and failed miserably, in my opinion. But they tried to distract people from all of the drama around Activision Blizzard. So TechRaptor has the same article. Blizzard announces Overwatch 2 includes shared multiplayer environment, meaning that people that have Overwatch 1 will still be able to play all the maps and everything all the old maps, I guess. I kind of question if you don't have to pay to purchase Overwatch 2 if you want to play any of the new content. Something has to be there to push people to buy Overwatch 2. or there's no reason for Overwatch 2 to exist, and arguably I would say there is no reason, but they've got to figure out some reason. All attack. We'll just start destroying each other's deck. Next we have a game on Steam called Fishing Adventure, which seems like you do go fishing, but you also walk around the world a lot. It's rated positively. Does that make sense though? Like walking around to a specific spot to go fishing? You do it in a lot of RPGs and other kinds of games, but every other fishing game I've ever seen, you're on a boat. Maybe the boat moves somewhere. The actual gameplay of fishing, though, looks like real fishing. So I'll put it on the follow list. It's discounted to $4.49, has a bunch of language interface support. Looks like the animation isn't the best ever, but it doesn't look terrible. Also, you kind of have a depiction here of, if we go back here for a second, yeah. You're picking up these fish from the outside of their lips instead of having a hook in them, so they've reduced the goriness, I guess, of some of it, which is unrealistic, but maybe appreciated too. Like I don't need your game to lovingly depict the hook going through the lip of a fish, causing it pain. I don't know if unduly is the right word, but definitely is causing it pain. So yeah, I'll put Fishing Adventure on the follow list and we'll think about it. I don't know how many fishing games I'd actually play, if any, in my lifetime, but I do want at least one good one on the wish list. So if the whim does strongly overtake me to play a fishing game, I have that opportunity and know which one to play. Game Sutra has the article Hearthstone Battlegrounds is a Blizzard card-based take on auto chess. They have about 3 paragraphs explaining that, but yeah. I guess if you want to look into it more, I'd say just go out there and look into it more. Personally still not interested in jumping back on the bandwagon of Activision Blizzard. The music that's playing right now sounds almost like a reference to the Twilight Zone. Well, should I wait? I think I'm gonna wait. It's like a half Twilight Zone, half Halloween music. TechRaptor has an article here. Blizzard announces World of Warcraft Shadowlands expansion. So yeah, another expansion. World of Warcraft's not looking amazingly great. It's pretty old game. And major graphics all update. When you get outside the cutscenes and you look at what the characters really look like it's starting to veer, I would argue, away from an art style into just looking like a Unity, a mobile game. Yeah. And I wouldn't be upset if they decided, you know what, we're just going to release a new Warcraft game with hyper-realistic animation, and we're going to abandon the kind of cutesy art. But I guess there's maybe some reasons that that wouldn't fly in China, so they probably would never do that. And frankly, if they did try to go with hyper-realistic art, there's a decent chance that they would just fail miserably. Okay. What do we do here? I think we lose is what we do. I needed this on the field. I didn't get it. But then I just said them doing hyper-realistic art wouldn't be something Blizzard does, and then Blizzard confirms Diablo 4 is coming to consoles and PCs, and then here you have hyper-realistic art being depicted in the cutscene for Diablo 4. I think probably the fact that Diablo in particular didn't really have an online presence like World of Warcraft did. There's something more to that. Lilith is supposed to be the new, like, bad person, but I mean, isn't it always just Diablo? So, like, they've figured out a way to resurrect Lilith, the apocryphal first wife of Adam, who was kicked out of the garden a little bit earlier, and then supposedly mother of all beasts. So this trailer seems to show kind of a cult creature summoning Lilith here. I was afraid they were going to end up showing her like naked, but I guess demonically naked. So you don't see any real gameplay there at all in that trailer, but I have seen some other bits that look like they are gameplay bits for Diablo 4, and the graphics definitely don't look anywhere as good as that cutscene did. And that's always been the case for a lot of cases, a lot of games, but Blizzard in particular has had a lot of time to refine their art, considering their practical entire life of their company has been around making Warcraft characters and Diablo characters and Starcraft characters, and all three of those games play relatively similarly and pretty well on the same amount of code. Or at least the original Warcraft and Starcraft games played basically like real-time strategy games, and Diablo played a little bit differently. Let's see. Just gonna play this. So yeah, they've had more time than most, more time than they needed, frankly, to bring something to a higher level and stay ahead of the curve. They've had plenty of money to hire artists to continue to create good quality art, and a lot of times they don't. They kind of just take the money and pocket it. This is one of the reasons why I believe there should just be a maximum amount of income anybody could be paid or anybody can take home, and severe limitations on how much you can invest in companies, or just get rid of the idea of investing in companies in total. because it's just so easy for people to line their pockets and not put anything back in the work that they created, which doesn't benefit society in any way. The general idea of money, I would argue, at least in part, is around the concept that you are working to benefit society, thus you're getting rewarded with that money. If you're not doing anything to benefit society, you shouldn't be allowed to have to earn money, frankly. That's a long and that's a hugely oversimplified concept of something that would be a lot more complicated if you tried to actually implement it. But we don't, for instance, allow assassins to run around making money killing other people, because we generally all accept that assassination is not something that would benefit society. Moving on to video game news, TechCraft has an article. Hong Kong Hearthstone player Blitzchung joins Tempo Storm. He obviously set this up to announce this right during BlizzCon. Let's see. I don't know what Tempo Storm plays, though. I guess Tempo Storm is a Hearthstone esports team, but he'll still be banned, so he's going to represent the brand and work on becoming a bigger streamer. Interesting. So, alright. You've got some extra time, I guess, to work on being a bigger streamer. Yeah, all attacks. There you go. You wanna defend that? I guess if he's not doing any damage, I'm not healing any either, though. Oh, that sucks. Well, then this card is useless. I could use it as a defense card at some point. I have to say, good for Blitzchung for not just going quietly into the night, which is undoubtedly what Activision Blizzard wanted them to do, is just disappear and never show up again. Let's see. Gamatsu has the same article. Diablo announced for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Do we have any new pictures? Yeah. By the time Diablo 4 comes out, though, anybody smart, I think, would... can I undo that? Nope. Well, actually, I can still play this because of this one. Well, I could have played it for that one too. Yeah. Anyone smart would make something that is just a direct ripoff, even more than like Torchwood, Torchlight, not Torchwood. That's a Doctor Who series. Yeah, even more than like Torchlight did with Torchlight 1 and 2. And in all fairness, I think the developers of Torchlight probably should put it in high gear to make a Torchlight 3 and beat them to release date. So, attack here. Let's see. Magic has the Festival of the Fae event info, which we're doing the Chapter 1 Artisan right now, which gives us these card styles, which are set card styles. And then Chapter 2 happens November 10th to the 13th, so pretty much once a week, and that gives us what, more card styles? So every week pretty much you're gonna have to do one. Well, for 3 weeks it seems, and then maybe that'll be the end of the Festival of the Fae. I guess the Festival of the Fae would be the equivalent of a Thanksgiving event without calling it a Thanksgiving event. Right. This, and this. Doesn't seem like there was too much extra news. This guy's at -4 now? Yeah, he's at -4. These guys, whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, so if I can get this dead before he can cast an instant sorcery spell, that might work. Which just means one more turn. TechRaptor has an older TechRaptor story. BlizzCon protests supporting Hong Kong are underway. A lot of people dressed as Winnie the Pooh. A lot of Hong Kong flags. I assume that's what these are. Lots of protesting. The protesting did not seem to die down at any point, so it wasn't like just day one of BlizzCon. There was lots of screaming and shouting, and it doesn't sound like anybody got arrested or anything like that. So the police didn't seem like they wanted any part of it, or perhaps Blizzard was wise enough to not call for security. It seems like they were wise enough to not do that. Alright, so that's week 1 of the festival, and that was the ranked draft, and so that just then leaves us with white and blue spells that we need to play, and let's see what we can do here. White and blue spells would force us to play this, and I want to get victory, so I'm just going to play regular instead of ranked, because this is going to take too long otherwise. And then we're just into regular gameplay now. TechRaptor has the same article. Diablo 4 announced. Because of the way all these notifications come out on Twitter, we're going kind of backwards in times. TechRaptor has a Blizzard opens BlizzCon 2019 with an apology. Like, smirk, not helpful, frankly. There was the Jimquisition covered this apology pretty well as a non-apology, and I agree with his video on that. Like, sometimes he does make good videos. I'd say, frankly, if you want to look, if you're the CEO of a company, you gotta look the part. Frankly, get a haircut, hippie. I have to say, come out in a suit, not just a Blizzard button-down shirt that's not even buttoned up. Don't show off your chest. Like, in the end, actions speak way louder than these scripted words. And in those scripted words, he did not in any way say that he was actually sorry or he was actually going to change his actions in any way. So, wait a minute. This is not a core, a Throne of Eldraine card. What expansion is this from, then? I'm not sure about that. Like, I'll have to figure out what this symbol is, and what the symbol means. It'd be weird that starting to play Hearthstone, they would give you like really old cards that aren't even allowed anymore. Like that's a different symbol, and that's a different symbol. Yeah, these are all not core M20 cards or Throne of Eldraine cards. So do new players start with different decks? That would be kind of weird. Gamma Sutra has the same article. They certainly were just trying very hard to get articles out during the beginning of BlizzCon over and over again as fast as possible. TechCraft has an article here. HGTV content is coming to House Flipper, which might be a little bit helpful. The Garden Flipper DLC wasn't really worth it by the seams of it, and House Flipper in general needs more content. This HGTV DLC adds 10 new jobs to the game. Jobs, I believe, being things you have to do to improve a house. So 10 doesn't seem like a lot. Let's play this. Famitsu here has an article. Long Distance Empathy, an interview with Hideo Kojima about Death Stranding. If you are interested in reading this interview, search it out on Famitsu. Or I would say Google Long Distance Empathy Famitsu, and you probably will find the English article, or an English translation of the article. In a funny way, a lot like the last good Metal Gear Solid game, Metal Gear Solid 5. After it came out and people who were hyped to play it played it, there kind of was no more news because people who weren't hyped to play the game had no interest in playing it, and so they didn't play it. Whereas something like Nier Automata came out, and I think a lot less people had any interest in playing it, and the news continuously flowed out as more and more people were discovering it as kind of a hidden gem. TechRaptor has an article here. Azure Lane Crosswave is coming to Steam in 2020. Although, perhaps there's some caution to be taken from this. It's getting a PC port, but then the United States global Western version of the game recently just censored one of the load screen images, which that happens in a lot of games. It happens in the game I play on my phone. There's an uncensored patch, and maybe that's what it eventually just boils down to, is that if you're playing it, you install the uncensored patch with care, and if you don't, you don't. The censorship often is small, and not super impactful. It's often just adding a little bit of shadow here, or a slight change to the outfit there. Alright. I don't think I can actually win here. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Hope or How We Survived, which looks like it's a zombie apocalypse game. Where you're trying to defend and protect this guy. In a lot of ways it's just a tower defense game though, so $5.39 discounted English only. That definitely doesn't look like a game that's worth $5. Have to end my turn here. This game has been talked about a lot. TechRapper has a review for Killer Queen Black. A lot of people, I think, have seen this at PAX's or some other event for the past few years. Honestly, to me, it looks like it's just kind of a Smash Brothers clone. It doesn't look that interesting or different. It looks like it's a multiplayer game. And they gave it a 7.0. Well, Killer Queen Black is fun in short bursts. Sessions, you won't have too much incentive to come back. Let's see. Without cosmetics or a bare bones of ranking system. Communication with players online can be difficult, but you can maximize your enjoyment of Killer Queen Black with a group of friends. The pros are fantastic visuals, fun in short bursts, great esports potential. The cons are lack of progression, no music during gameplay, and communication issues. So yeah, it doesn't sound to me like it's particularly that interesting. So we kill that, and then we kill that, and we block, and that lets us survive for one more turn, or not. I guess at the end of the day, as long as we get the daily quest done, that's, or the, what, how are these labeled? Daily quest, daily wins. So as long as we get this done, and I'm getting a decent amount of 750 goals, by the way. That seems to just happen. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Nintendo has nearly doubled its first-party game sales in 2019, which probably isn't too hard. Too hard considering they're up to 20 when they were only slightly above 15 before. So I guess doubling your sales means in this case that the games they released are better than what they were in 2018. Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Super Mario Maker 2, and a remake of Legend of Zelda's Link's Awakening, all I'm sure contributing in part to that. Just mulligan that. I don't think I have enough regular Plains cards, if I was to guess. So yeah, Nintendo is still doing fine. Not particularly doing great from the perspective of a PC gamer who's not going to cover any of their games, or even like I don't even know when I would say Nintendo's heyday really was. Back in '83 when the NES was just really competing against the Sega Genesis, or maybe not really competing against anything at all. So that may have been at their heyday. Yeah, I definitely do need to change this deck and put more regular Plains cards in it. Like, Nintendo has bits of great success when they launch a new console with a great tie-in game. Like the Wii with the Wii Bowling, great success. Super Mario 64 with the Nintendo 64, great success. NES with the Donkey Kong or Super Mario Bros. Tie-ins, great success. But then, if they don't have anything as compelling, like the Wii U, it fails kind of miserably. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Dimensionality 3.5. This is some kind of text-based visual novel by the tags. Looks like a low-effort Chinese visual novel. $1.19, English and Chinese. Yep, right on the head. Next we have a game on Steam here called Metrail, which looks like it's a line... Is it Line Rider, the game I'm thinking of? Yeah, it looks like one of those rhythm games where you're just avoiding damage. Maybe not really even a rhythm game. It's really dark. It looks pretty bad. It's for free and English only, so I guess that's the right price for a game that looks like that, but very uninteresting, not something worth putting on the fall list. Just alright. Protection from red. I probably played this wrong. These are all flying creatures, so I can't really do anything to him. Like, he could defend against my attack, but I can't attack him. Next we have a game on Steam here called One Day, which looks like it's a full motion video Chinese joke game. Best I could guess. $1.79 discounted. English and Chinese again. Alright. Muting some of the people that work at Blizzard also, because I have no reason to listen to them either. Do I keep the co-founder and ex-CEO of Blizzard Entertainment? Yeah, maybe. Like the question is, when do I wrap up the saga and my interest personally in Activision Blizzard? Like how long do you wait for the dramatic twist where the old CEOs, the old people in charge, come back and everything gets changed around and improved? Let's see. Alright. Next attack. This guy has protection from white, so I can't do anything to him. Next we have a game on Steam here called Yeti, which looks like an RPG Maker game. Possibly one that's been censored. $8.99 discounted, English only. Yeah, nothing here of interest. Auto pay. Okay. What am I paying for? I don't know. PC Gamer has probably the best article here. Blizzard president clarifies decision to ban placed on Hearthstone player and two casters over the Hong Kong controversies. Despite yesterday's apology at BlizzCon, Blizzard won't be repealing the punishments further. So yeah, actions speak louder than words, and their actions are, yes, we're sticking to our guns in the face of everybody completely disagreeing with you. Like, everybody. Next, as well. Yeah, you know what? Just play. Just play this, because I'm gonna lose anyways. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Dream Gallery, which is a jigsaw puzzle game with what looks like just a bunch of traditional Chinese models and imagery. $4.49 Chinese, of course, no Japanese here. You can kind of tell a little bit difference in the fashion between a Chinese traditional outfit and a Japanese outfit. Once you get the feel of it, I don't know if there's anything I could say directly to point it out. Though. And blocks. Yeah, don't bother. Don't block. No. So we're having quite a lot of cheap Chinese games that came out. I did go through a lot of the games, but I don't think we're even to the point where the games started to be curated, so it's not super surprising that I'm running into a bunch of garbage games. We do almost every live stream. 90% of all games at minimum are garbage that come out on Steam. Alright, we need to play 5 more cards. Let's go in here and just edit the deck a little bit here. So what I want to do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 8 of those, and then get rid of cards that don't have a good chance of being played. Like, this is not a good card to have. I don't think. Oh, oops. Well, now I'm out of whatever I just got rid of, I got rid of, so we'll just adjust that way and play. Next we have a game on Steam here called Queenie Army, which looks like it's a 8-bit platforming game. The animation looks a little rough. Like they're showing me what I would call like a first year art, not first year art student, but first year like high school students level of animation, and they're showing each of these characters like they actually care about the characters, but there's just no polish there to justify that. Now, when zoomed out, it looks like an 8-bit character, like all 8-bit characters. They look like 8-bit characters. I won't even say fine, they just look like what 8-bit characters look like. This is $8.99 in English, Spanish, Latin America. No, I don't see a visual polish here that would make me want to play this unknown game from an unknown developer. Let's see, Gamatsu has an article here. This week's Japanese game releases: Death Stranding, the Grisaia trilogy, and more. So, if you want two different styles of Japanese games, here you have Death Stranding and Grisaia. Let's see, is there anything else really worth mentioning here? Need for Speed Heat, Elga, Samiko, Garasi, Tobadasu, Ihon, to Hitsume no Ko, Game de Obso, Ibon no Sekai. This is almost certainly No Game, No Life. Some Switch spin-off on that. Really have no excuse if my voice starts wearing itself out today. Also, considering how I barely did any recording over the weekend. I'm in a weird position where I'm kind of bandwidth limited in a lot of things, where I don't have the bandwidth to, let's just go ahead and play this, to upload videos and play any kind of online game and run backups that I'm trying to see if they can actually work and run. The initial backup in particular is the problem. It's the getting the massive amount of data that never changes onto a server. Yeah, if I play this and then put this here, and then that'll buff that, and then put that here, that'll buff that again. So that's probably the right way to play. Several other digital games came out, but if I don't have anything else to say about them, like, there's kind of no reason to mention that these games came out in Japan. If a game comes out and I have nothing more informative to say there, it's just wasting everybody's time, isn't it? Alright. So white. And then, should I do pacifism right now? I don't think so. Well, actually, you know what? All attacks. And then, let's do pacifism. Is it an instant? No, it isn't. Darn it. So you could defend with both of these against one character. That was my fear, is that he would have put two characters against this, and then that would have been a way of killing that. Okay, that guy. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Experience to launch crowdfunding campaign for third entry in the Spirit Hunter series. Experience, I guess, the name of the company. On November 25th. So they're making what looks kind of like a horror game. Like, not even a lot of pictures here to go by. Looks like a horror visual novel type series for Spirit Hunter. And as far as I know, that's exactly what it is. You know what? Actually, let's play this. White. And then play this there. And then play this here. And then all attack and win. Let's see. So now I would just need 4 more victories to get more experience at the minimum, and 9 more victories to get all the daily victories, which, you know, sometimes that happens, but not very often. Gamatsu has an article here. Gust has 4 projects in development, including a new Atelier game, plus a few new insights on the Fairy Tail game. So this article is not really saying much, though. Fairy Tail is due out for the PS4, Switch, and PC in 2020. That's pretty much all I can take from that article. Let's see. There was a game I saw on slickdeals.net that was free on Steam. And then I went and looked at the reviews and it's like, oh yeah, this game is garbage, so who cares that it's free on Steam? I've been down that path a couple of times where I've accidentally or purposely gotten games and then they're just on my list for no reason because they're not of any quality. Let's see, we have a game on Steam here called Dawn of Dragons Ascension, which is mixed, so already I'm not going to put it on the follow list. It looks like it's some kind of mobile RPG that's been ported to PC, if I was to guess. Free to play with in-app purchases, so no to that. Next we have a game on Steam called Reanimation Incorporated, which is it's kind of like a, I guess, EMS simulator, but clearly it's a mobile game port too. I'd like to see something like this for real, but when you see buttons all here to do everything, you kind of know it's just a mobile game. It's $1.19 discounted, which is way too cheap. Also, it's Russian and Ukraine as its 3rd and 4th language, so it might be a Russian troll game too. Let's see. Just wait. Yeah, when am I going to start hitting the games I actually curated? Next we have a game on Steam called Sword Right, which this has a little bit more visual polish on it than most platforming games, and I think I want to put this on the follow list for that reason. Let's reward a game every once in a while if it has even the slight chance of being good. This looks like it might actually play well. It might actually have a concept here. I could see this being just a slightly uglier version of Rogue Legacy. So let's put it on the follow list. It's discounted to $3.39, so it might be super short. It's English only. Super short would be one of my main concerns there. Just can't do anything, can I? I've got nothing. So it's just auto pass. And auto pass again. Yeah, I believe this is the beginning of the curated point. We have a game here called A Zone, which is like a match game where you're dragging to match 3 in a row. I guess there's nothing special there. Visually though, it's minimalistic, so I was not realizing what kind of game it was before. This is 89 cents discounted, a bunch of languages, 10 achievements. So yeah, there's probably nothing wrong with this game. It's just there's nothing special with this. Either if you were going to play a game like this, you must build a boat or something like that would probably be a better choice. So these are just the exact same cards. So giving a +2/+1 to a creature. Actually, it's just pacifism. We're pacified now. We'll save ourselves some health that way. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Saw Wars, which is not, it seems, having anything to do with Star Wars or the movie Saw. Unfortunately, it seems like it's probably a wood mill saw, but asset flip game. Looks like it's a, that's what it is. It's early access. It's $5.99. It's English only. Nothing interesting there. It looks like it's a low effort attempt at making a collectible card game, and I now see the beginning of the end. Thank goodness. Finally got to where we wanted to be to get this on the field, but there's a decent chance he has a spell to counter this character or destroy this character. Next we have a game on Steam called Raptropolis, which looks like it's a kind of tower defense using cards game. It's rated very positively though, so I think I'm willing to put this on the follow list. It's in early access right now. It's $14.99. It's English and Korean, so yeah, there might be something here. If it comes out of early access, I'll give it a chance. Just have to do this. I have nothing better I can do. Like I said, he's almost certainly had a spell or something. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Santa's Visit, which looks like it's a VR game where you're wandering around a place as Santa. Doesn't really look like you're doing anything else, just playing with things and standing in one place, maybe throwing things, like so many other VR games. $9.99, English only. I don't think this needs to be on the fall list. The visual polish looks nice enough, but it really does feel like you're really only going to be in one room with no real goal or any real action. And it really does feel like it is just simply trying to sell itself on Christmas feelings. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Alpha, which looks like it's a top-down hack and slash game. Yeah. It does have a bit of a visual polish on it, but it also feels like it's just a Chinese game. $3.99 discounted. English, Chinese, and Japanese. It looks a little too 8-bit. It looks a little too retro for my taste, so I'm not going to put it on the fall list. No attacks in the turn. Actually, I could have attacked, come to think of it. I'm trying to rush through all the games. Next we have a game on Steam here called I'm Hungry, which is one of those cooking and serving food simulators that often are just mobile games, but they've made it into a VR game so they can charge $15.29, even discounted. It has a bunch of language support. Yeah. These games aren't fun when they're in 2D. They're not really any more fun if you're playing them in VR, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm gonna stop mentioning games that come out on Xbox because they are just taking up extra time that I don't have and won't have for a reasonable, rather long amount of time, frankly, until I can figure out how to play MTG a lot better and get into the groove of things happening. This is just taking way too long. Next we have a game called Arcadia, which looks like it's a visual novel, but with a nice visual polish to it. Free to play, English only. I'll put it on the follow list. Although playing a free to play visual novel, probably not worth your time. Like, it's probably super short, and it may just be like a full text experience with very little animation, or not 100% full text, but close to it. Let's see. This guy's gonna do 4 damage next turn, so we might as well attack. Next we have a game on Steam called Survived, which looks like it's a VR first-person shooter game trying to be kind of like a Bioshock. And it does have a little bit of polish here. A little bit more than what you would think for just a regular low-effort horror game. But I guess it doesn't matter because English isn't supported. It's $3.99. And it says English full audio, but then Chinese only. So, yeah. There's enough red flags in this to say don't buy it. Tap all creatures. And then destroy target artifact or enchantment. Next. There's not like an artifact or enchantment I could even use, because that's not a land. I could destroy that if I wanted to, but there's no reason to. It's not like I'm trying to play white cards right now just to get a daily quest done. Next we have a game on Steam called Rogue, which looks like it might be an asset flip game, but it does have slightly more polish. This is the problem. All these asset flip games are getting better and better on like a weekly basis. $9.59. I'll put it on the follow list, I guess, but almost certainly not there. English and Korean, M-rated game, allegedly. Just auto pass all of this. Yep, that'll be the last game we play for today. And we'll just need to catch up on the news. So, we have a game on Steam here called Lost in Sweets, which seems to be like a pastry running shop with maybe some visual novel dialogues and character interactions going on. $4.99, English, Chinese, and Japanese. You find and gather ingredients to make and sell sweets, and there's mysterious wildlife. I'll put this on the follow list. Yeah. Seems a little bit different. Seems kind of possibly kid-friendly type game. So, always looking for kid-friendly games. Next we have a game on Steam called Revisor, which looks like a top-down real-time strategy game, or honestly it looks more like a twin-stick shooter game that very possibly is a mobile port. This is another one of those games that it really comes down to reviews. $11.04 discounted, English and Japanese. Yep. Lots of good reviews on that would make me consider it. No reviews on it would make me ignore it. Next we have a game called Legion Craft, which has a different kind of art style. Looks like it's kind of a strategy placement game of some sorts. What I really like about this game is that I have no idea what this game is. Like, it doesn't look like anything else. I can't just snap my fingers and immediately classify it as something. So I'm going to put it on the follow list, and it's already mostly positive, but we'll see if it comes out of early access. It's $11.69. It's English and Chinese. Doing something different. They're calling it an RPG roguelike, but I honestly don't even know how you would play this. And that intrigues me, certainly. Next, we have a game on Steam called Bewitched, having nothing to do, I think, with the TV show by that name. Looks like it is a visual novel based off of like a fan parody of Harry Potter, if I was to guess. But alright, fair enough. $3.74. English and Russian. This might be just a straight rip-off of Harry Potter with some animation on top of it, which probably is copyright infringement if that's the case, but I wouldn't really be super upset if somebody did do a fan parody game based on something they really love, like Harry Potter. Although maybe this isn't so much Harry Potter-esque as it seems, because it doesn't seem like the boy here is even a major focus. Yeah, again, just look for reviews, and if any of them come in, if we have any reviews in English, I'll consider it. And if 6 months from now or so, when I do the next follow list cleanup, nobody has reviewed it, I'll just remove it. Next we have a game called The Lighthouse, which looks like a horror walking simulator adventure type game. Definitely has some puzzle elements and definitely has some polish to it, so that deserves a follow. $22.49 might be a little too expensive, frankly. English full audio. They may have jumped the shark with that price. And we have about 20 more games, so I'm going to try and burn through these as fast as possible. We have a game here called Void of Heroes, which looks like a mech player versus player game. It's not super visually polished, and if it is a multiplayer game in early access for free, yeah, it's not something I would cover. English and Spanish. Yeah. Let's see. Next we have Voxel Scavenger. Any game with Voxel in the name probably not interesting me a lot. Yep, looks like a first-person shooter game with voxel graphics. That's uninteresting. Early access, $7.69, English only. There might be a little bit more polished visually here. compared to other voxel games I've seen, but yeah, not enough to drag my attention. Let's see. Next we have a game called 3x64, which I think is just Tetris. Is pretty much, I think all it is just a Tetris game. Visually it looks polished enough. If this was a port from a mobile game, I wouldn't really complain about that because it still looks fine for something like a Tetris. Although it's more of a square Tetris field, where Tetris usually is a lot longer, so your gameplay may not be as fun due to that limitation. This is $3.99 with no discount and English and Czech. It seems like perhaps the world rotates, making it a slightly different experience than Tetris, but yeah, that doesn't really interest me. Like, I really wouldn't even play a Tetris game unless it was something like Tetris 99, something that made it more exciting to play. Next, we have a game on Steam here called Song of Horror, which looks like a real horror game with actual visual polish to it. Interesting. I've not heard of this developer or publisher, but this is a publisher who has put a Unicode emoji in its title. Interesting. I'm surprised more people don't do that. I use them on my labels on YouTube. I don't know if that helps or hurts anything. So I'm going to put this on the fall list. Now it is episodic, so you would probably have to calculate the full complete season pass here, which maybe episode 3 is not out yet, or well, it is. It says it's available December 13th. It's not out yet. Yeah. So they're going episodic. What's weird about this game, English, French, German, Spain, Spanish. What's really weird about this game, though, is this is too polished of a game for me to not have really heard about. And maybe TechRaptor talked about this, but that's kind of it. Like, it's really weird that there hasn't been an advertisement or somebody else covering it. But I guess that might be a good thing too. That might mean that we actually are going to just have a surprise hit instead of an overhyped failure. Next we have Gun Pixies, not to be confused with the Galgun series, I believe, even though it's kind of the same game. So for this time you're playing as pixies running around shooting people instead of a first person perspective. So yeah, Galgun 1 and 2, not, I think, made by the same developer and publisher. This is P-Cube Limited and Idea Factory. It's positively reviewed. It's also tagged nudity, so yeah, you kind of know what you're getting in this. So you probably won't be seeing anything too hardcore, but some boobs and butts I'm sure would show up. Let's see. Next thing is tag nudity also, so I believe there's a whole run here of adult games that got released on Steam again, so another cycle was approved. So here we have a game called Harakatsu 2. Looks like it's a visual novel. It's $8.99 discounted. It's English and Japanese. I don't know how many of these really need to be on the fall list, though. We'll see what the reviews are and how that all breaks down. Speaking of sorting things, I suppose it is worth mentioning that the Steam library is now live for their application, and there's really no way to go back to the old way as far as it seems, so I'm just gonna have to live with the new setup, for better or for worse. Next, we have a game on Steam called Dement, which again looks like a visually polished, like, horror adventure game. It is suffering from some dark screenshot syndrome, but there's a little bit of polish on those enemies. So yeah, I'll put it on the follow list. Looks like there could be a game here, but it requires VR too. So $35.99 is pretty expensive even for a VR game. English full audio only. Yeah, this really feels like this is a game that will suffer visually and in sales because they made it a VR game. But whatever, we'll put it on the follow list. We'll see if people buy it, see if they like it. Next we have a game on Steam called Synth Riders, which is just another music game in VR. $16.99. Yeah, I would normally say that was expensive, but we just did see a $35 VR game. No, this still is super expensive. English only. Another Beat Saber clone, effectively. It's been probably a full year now since Beat Saber came out and was popular. Let's see. Next, we have a game here called Sinister Halloween, which is like a VR game with some suspect 3D models from all over the place. The problem with this is it's past Halloween, so why would you buy it now? $9.99. Let's see if we can show off anything. It's kind of jumping all over the place in the cutscenes. Yeah, a lot of jump scares. It looks like $9.99 English full audio. No, not making it to the follow list. Just because it doesn't have any real relevancy after Halloween, and it won't have any relevancy next year at Halloween. Next, we have a game on Steam called Journey for Elysium, which looks like it's a surrealist VR game, walking simulator type game. It's already on the follow list. It requires VR, $16.99. English full audio. Apparently it's similar to Please Don't Touch Anything 3D. I don't know why Steam would assume that's the case, but whatever. Let's see. Next we have Lee Inside TV. Let's see. What kind of game is this? This looks like a joke game or a troll game with pixel graphics. $1.19 discounted, English only, 19 achievements. Yeah, this looks like a joke game. So, I have no interest in it. Let's see, next we have The Hunter's Journal's Blissful Ignorance, which is a text-based game with a little bit of graphics, so I wanted to kind of applaud it before immediately not putting it on the follow list, as it does seem like they bothered to animate at least one picture. Maybe that's the totality of the animations. This is $5.39 English only. Yeah, we still get the occasional full text games on Steam, which I don't think anybody buys, honestly, but maybe some people do. Next we have Haunted Poppy's Nightmare, which looks like it's just like an asset flip wandering around game, from best I can tell. Really dark. Not seeing any enemies, not seeing any gameplay mechanics. Seems like you do wander around, maybe you trick or treat. $2.84 English only. Nope to that one. Next we have the Donnerwald experiment, which looks like it is a platforming game of some sort / RPG, tagged also with nudity. Early access, $7.19, English only. That's just too many different things here. RPG, indie, early access, nudity, looks like a platformer, looks like a visual novel. There's too much here, and the price is too high, so I'm gonna leave that one off the list. They're biting off more than they can chew. Next we have a game called Salting the Earth, which looks like it is a kind of weird Western style monster visual novel romance thing going on. It's tagged with nudity and sexual content again, and I did not check these screenshots. Well, we looked out. $13.49 is a lot of extra dollars, frankly. For English with no full audio, it says it has only 60 illustrations, only 5 main endings, 1 hidden route, has 11 achievements. It says hours of playtime, not even tens of hours of playtime, just hours of playtime. Yep, this is not something that's what you would want if you're looking for a visual novel. You don't want some short experience that's way overpriced. Next we have a game called ZLM Crafter, which seems to be an asset flip Minecraft clone if you just used visual assets that looked like space instead of blocky. That trailer is clearly designed to hide the fact that there's no real content in this game. See. I accidentally hovered over a game without checking the images, and it was straight up full on nudity in the preview image. So yeah, we'll have to edit that out. As for the game itself, what do I do with it? No, I don't see any reason why I would cover that or buy that game. Like, it doesn't look that good. And frankly, finding more things that I'd have to censor is not a useful movement. So we're trying to wrap up here. We've got about 5 more games. Here's one called Ghost Parade, which this says it's a open world game. It looks kind of like it's a platformer. Looks like there might be something here. It says masterpiece. Why is masterpiece a tag? $31.99. Single player, English, Japanese, Chinese. I have to put this on the follow list just to see if anybody even buys this game at such a high price. That is way out of what it should be. Unless Ghost Parade is just this game that everybody knows about except for me. That could be maybe the case, but I suspect what this really is just somebody has really overpriced their game. The art style certainly looks different. But yeah, I'll put it on the follow list. Can't really go any further than that. Next we have a game called The Wanderer Frankenstein's Creature, which sounds like it's a hidden object game, but they're tagging it as a point and click adventure game. I don't know if there's a real game here. Seems questionable. All the screenshots seem to mostly show background and nothing else, and the main characters barely stand out. It's so zoomed out. $14.39. A bunch of language supported. I'll put it on the follow list. Well, we've got some positive reviews already. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called The Doors of Silence, the prologue. Let's see, there's... Looks like it's a horror game. Looks a little visual polish. Don't they all these days, all these horror games? So we require VR. It's $16.99, which maybe is not too expensive for a VR game. So I'll put it on the follow list. Third party EULA. I haven't even been mentioning those. Probably shouldn't bother to ever mention them. Full audio in English. Might be something here. But this is also just the prologue, come to think of it. So no, I'm going to take it off the follow list. It's ridiculous to ask somebody to pay $17 to play what is a prologue if you actually know what a prologue is. It's supposed to be a short introduction to a larger story, not episode 1 or the first in a trilogy, which for that price it would have to be episode 1 or the first in a trilogy. Next we have a game on Steam here called Pagan Peak, which honestly looks a lot like the other game we just looked at. They all kind of look the same. VR $8.99 this time, so that's a much more reasonable price. And it doesn't seem like there's any indication that it's only part of a game. English full audio. Here. Next we have a game on Steam called Rain Dancer, which they're saying is an RPG. It looks like a top-down twin stick shooter. I kind of like the art style, but I'm not sure what kind of game it is or what it looks like in actual play. That's the weird thing, is that I feel like a lot of art styles probably have yet to been developed enough that they would actually work while you're playing a game. Like, for instance here, you've got a really, really dark creature in the background. That's hard to see. That makes the game more difficult to play. But I guess I'll put it on the follow list since it's 49 cents. It must be super short. English, Russian, Chinese, Korean. Yeah. One hit death, 49 cents. I'm not actually interested in it then. It's just not worth the time to install and try and play something that's only going to take maybe a couple hours to either beat or rage quit. Next we have a game on Steam called Air, which you're flying around on like a paper airplane. I don't know if there's really much more to it than that. Let's see, none of these images want to load right now. Yeah, you get little gusts of vents of wind that blow you up, and you're just gliding throughout a area. This is the kind of thing that would be interesting as a transition mechanic in a much larger game, but is completely boring when separated by itself. $5.39 discounted, a bunch of languages. Yeah. It has kind of a unique art style, and I'll grant it that, but yeah, I don't think I could justify spending any time trying to play this, because there's like no mechanics, there's no rings, there's no collectibles, there's no point where you start or should end. It's just flying around for flying around's sake. We have about 5 more games on Steam. Next we have a game on Steam called Making a Killing, which looks like it's probably a low effort, dark in the forest horror first person shooter game. The video basically shows you picking up this object, putting it down, and then it gets crushed, and then something happens. Monsters come, I guess. That's kind of it. It's very black and white. $8.99 English with 32 achievements and single player only. Doesn't look like there's enough visual variety or variety of any sense in this game. So yeah. Next we have a game on Steam called Monster Reapers VR, which looks like you're fighting monsters in VR. Seems almost like a Ghostbusters style of game. There might be something to it. It's early access. It's $7.49. The price is not bad. It says it has English full audio, so since most VR games are just standing around and shooting things, and usually that's shooting zombies, shooting ghosts would be at least slightly different, so I'll put it on the follow list. Although I'm being way too generous about what stays on the follow list as far as VR games or games in general. And once I do a cleanup, I'll probably be way more critical of them. Next we have a game on Steam here called Murgles, which it says it's a turn-based combat game. Looks like it's kind of a Pokemon style game too. Yep. If somebody was to just basically rip off Pokemon, like don't go Pokemon, the newest Pokemon, but instead rip off Red and Blue or Yellow, just the first generation with 100 characters instead of like 300, you could probably do that pretty well. $6.74 discounted, English full audio. We'll see if anybody buys this game and likes it. Although it would be kind of silly to play a Pokemon clone and cover it too, because we kind of know already it's a known quantity. It would be very much a game of just deciding whether that specific clone of Pokemon did a good job cloning Pokemon, and then ignoring the fact whether Pokemon is good or bad in general as a kid's first RPG. Next we have a game on Steam called Spooky Station that seems like it's a top-down twin-stick shooter game. It has some visual polish to it. Like here's the thing that I've noticed is if you just have hearts and any effort whatsoever to depict health and life other than just drawing a bar, a single color bar of red full when your health is full and depleting as you lose health, that seems to be a major indicator to me whether people care about their game or are putting any effort into it. If your UI, the user interface, looks low effort, usually the rest of the game looks low effort or is easily dismissed. So Spooky Station here is $4.09 discounted, and this is English and Portuguese Brazil. Again, goes to the follow list. We have 2 more games to look at, and then we will be caught up, which we really needed to be caught up, frankly, because we were starting to fall particularly behind. Next we have a game here called Jag D Lanzier, which either is a cheap Chinese game or a port of an old Japanese game or something. It's like a mech game, not in widescreen 16:9. The weird thing here though is this style and level of animation tells me this has to be a new game. It can't just be a port of an old game. They would not look like that if this was a 10 or 20-year-old game. But this style of animation here tells me this is a ugly low-effort game, because a modern game would not look like that. So one or the other, the game loses praise. It's $3.39. It's English and Japanese subtitles. Yeah. And yeah, I see nothing here of interest. And then finally we have a VR game here, which is just Tapper, Root Beer Tap, or Root Beer on Tap. It's the game Tapper, but in VR, which is doing something different for VR, so I kind of have to applaud it for that alone. You pour root beers and then slide them down tables. Often Tapper looked like this. I think you could probably make a very good argument to say that Tapper worked in its simplicity and its controls, and doing it in VR probably doesn't work as well, and this somehow won't feel as fun as playing the original Tapper game, which, in all fairness, I'm not sure how fun the original Tapper game was to play, or would be to play right now. But I'll put it on the follow list. Requires VR, $10.19, English full audio. And with that, that is the last game I had open. And so I can look at the Humble Bundle store real quick, just to see if there's any new games bundles, which almost certainly there isn't. Nope. And let's see. Twitter looks like I've got a notification on Twitter, but I can't see it. Yeah, we don't really need to go through the new news from Twitter because, yeah, we'll cover anything new that happened on Wednesday. So that's going to be it for the stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.